everyone, welcome back to Lemphalation. This is Jovita here, and in today's video I am going to be talking about my VIT process and how I got my full registration. There's been a lot of you that have been commenting on my videos and asking me to make teaching related videos, and this has been a recent step that I have taken in my teaching career, and I thought I should make this video to help out anyone who's going through that process. So if you'd like to learn more about what VIT is and how to go about the registration, then please keep watching. I'm going to start off by giving you a basic understanding. In Australia, there's a state called Victoria. In Victoria, it is a legal requirement for all teachers to be registered with VIT. VIT stands for Victorian Institute of Teaching. So VIT is basically an authority, like an organization that regulates all of the teachers, that provides them with the registration, that makes sure that they are professional enough to be taking on a teaching role in Victoria. So this is basically what VIT is all about. You can read more about it on the website, and I've also put a link in the description for you to have a read through. So while you're studying in Victoria, wherever you are enrolled in whichever university, either if it's a bachelor's or a master's degree, if you intend to take on a teaching role, that is in a kindergarten, in a primary school, or in a secondary school, you are meant to start your process of registration while you're studying. And back when I was enrolled in my Masters of Teaching, Monash University did encourage the students to start the process, so that way we had our provisional registration before we finished with our course. So that is up to you how proactive you are in that process to get your provisional registration. I wasn't very proactive with it because I hadn't taken on a teaching role as soon as I completed my master's. Now the question about how to get your provisional registration and what is required for that will have to be a separate video, or else this video is going to be super long. But I will link in all of the frequently asked questions and the website links in the description box below, so you can have a read through that if you aren't provisionally registered yet. When you are moving from your provisional registration to a full registration, it's a very lengthy process. So VIT gives you 2 years to start with, but if you don't manage to do the whole process within the 2 years, you can apply for an extension. It depends on how you're going. I would suggest to just get it done as soon as you can. So basically, to start off the process, VIT requires you to work as a teacher in a teaching role for at least 80 days. So you need to show proof of having worked as a teacher. And the second point is that you have to collect evidence across the 7 APST standards. Now the APST standards are the Australian professional standards for teachers. There's 7 different standards and there's 37 different descriptors within those standards. So you need to basically be able to prove that you have met the requirements based on all of those standards, being able to demonstrate your knowledge, your practice, your professional ethics, your legal obligations, all of those things through those 7 different standards and 37 different descriptors. Right now it might sound like, oh my god, there's too much information, but once you start your process, once you read through the documents, it gets a bit more easier. I personally had found that people were telling me that the process is quite difficult, it's very overwhelming, there's a lot of paperwork, there's numerous things that you have to keep in mind, and that sort of had overwhelmed me even before I started my process. But trust me, it's not that hard. Once you start your process and once you keep up with your work regularly and be consistent with it, it's not going to overwhelm you. Yes, if you do procrastinate and keep everything till the very last minute, it is going to get very overwhelming, but you need to be holding yourself accountable in that aspect and keep yourself going as you go through the process. So the first thing is to find a mentor teacher. You need someone who can mentor you through the process, who can guide you step by step and support you to getting your full registration. This is a requirement by VIT, and you can find mentor teachers at your workplace. So anyone who's a fully registered teacher and has done a mentor training can be your mentor teacher in that process. So sometimes at your workplace you can just ask your managers or your leadership team to find out if you have in-house mentors who can help you with the process. If not, you can contact VIT and they'll be able to get you some mentor teachers as well. In this whole VIT process, you have to have an inquiry question. That is your step 2. So you are basically a researcher that is researching this question and trying to come up with answers through your practice and your professional goals. So you have to be able to set an inquiry question that actually teaches you something, so it helps in your professional development as well as is able to be measured with an achievable outcome. And the question that I chose was, how can I support children to take more ownership of their own learning within the program by giving them leadership opportunities? And that was my main question, and my research was all based around that question. You might not be able to get your question straight away. You might have to spend a few hours or a few days thinking about what exactly your inquiry question is going to be. So it can't be a very broad question, and it can't be something that you're going to get an answer to instantly. Like I mentioned, it needs to be a question that has an achievable outcome as well, and you will be in collaboration with your mentor teacher to come up with this question. So once you are set with your inquiry question, the next few steps of your VIT project is you trying to observe, document, plan for, reflect on all of your learning that takes place. So you have to choose 5 focus learners from your cohort, and you will be choosing a diverse group. So you take into consideration the strengths of your learners, the type of learners they might be, what might be beneficial for them, any kind of behavior guidance, any goals that you've set for them. Take into consideration all of these aspects while you plan those 6 weeks of lessons or 6 weeks of an action plan. Through the 6 weeks, you will be planning, you will be observing, you will be documenting, you will be critically reflecting and implementing your actions. And your mentor teacher is meant to come and observe you thrice in your practice. So it'll be 3 different occasions. It could be like a small group observation, a large group observation, or during different routines of the day. So your mentor teacher will come in and observe your practice, give you feedback on that practice, and you will be taking down all of that feedback. You also have to get observations of other teachers. So you'd be either going to a different service to observe another kinder teacher or a primary school teacher to observe how they teach their cohort, and you'll be asking them lots of questions in relation to your inquiry question, and then you'll be writing down all of that feedback as well. And you also have to engage in professional discussions around your legal obligations. So that could be either with your manager, your supervisor, or your mentor teacher. And once you've done all of these different processes and compiled your whole inquiry project, you basically have to present this to a panel. That's like the last step of the VIT process. So the panel consists of 3 people. One of them will be your mentor teacher who has supported you in the process. The second one needs to be a fully registered person. So it could be either your manager, your director of your service, the principal of your school, and they need to be registered as well with VIT. And the third person can be someone who has observed your practice, who knows how you work. It could be a supervisor from your workplace or a colleague. It doesn't have to be a person who's fully registered with VIT, but the 2 people that observe you from the panel need to be fully registered. And then you set a date with the panel, give them a week's or 2 weeks prior notice to meet with you, and you will then present your whole project in front of them, talk about all of the different aspects of your project, and then they have the opportunity to ask you questions. And once they've gone through your project, they've asked you questions, they go through the checklist, you have completed all the requirements, that's when you upload your project onto the VIT portal and ask for VIT to give you your full registration. So I've tried to keep it as short and simple as I possibly can. I know it might not seem that simple right now because there's lots of aspects of the VIT process, but I promise it's not that difficult. Once you start your process, you just have to keep up with it. Now, through the whole process that I explained, there's a lot of typing that is involved. As and when you go with each step, it's best to start typing it out into your project because you don't want to compile everything and wait till the last minute to type it out because it gets really overwhelming. So once you've met with your mentor teacher, you've come up with your inquiry question, you start typing that out. Once you've decided on your 5 focus learners, you start typing it out. It shouldn't take you more than 3 to 4 months, I'd say, to finish up the whole thing, but it depends on person to person and how proactive you are with that. I think I've covered most of what the process looks like, but if you still do have questions, VIT's website has answered most of people's questions on there. Everything is provided in full detail with links and all of that. I'll again leave the links in the description box below, but if you still do have questions and you need my help, type your questions out into the comment section and I'll try my best to support you. And that was it. I hope you guys learned something from this video and found it helpful. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a big fat thumbs up and subscribe for more. And as always, leave me your suggestions in the comment section below. I'd love to read them and make those videos for you guys. But that was it for today. I hope to see you in my next one. Until then, peace and love. Bye.